Hello, everybody. Rio Koruk here. Rio, Riok, whatever you want to call me. As long as it ain't no bad words and names. Um, so there's two songs that are on my mind today. The first is Break My Heart by Dua Lipa. The second one is Change from Steven Universe, the movie. And I was in the shower, and I was working through the whole, or at least the first line, right? When she's like, I've always been the one to say the first goodbye. I was like, ooh, that could be a little seven of swords. See, always been the one to say the first goodbye. I had to love and lose 100 million times. I went through a little bit. I ain't gonna go through all of it. But for some reason, when the part where she's like, am I falling in love with the one who will break my heart? And I remember reading in the comments, somebody was like, duh, that's the point. Like, you're not in love if the other person can't break your heart, right? It requires that amount of vulnerability. And it's what I've been thinking when the Nine of Pentacles keeps popping up, right? I'm like, well, it requires vulnerability to open up and to enter the realm of the tens to complete the solo cycle, right? And so I was thinking about how it's about the nine. So basically, I'm about to go looking for the nines real quick over here, and then we'll go looking over here, and we'll just see what's up. I haven't shuffled either one of these, so we're going to be taking it off of how we got it yesterday, or how we left it. And my line of thinking was something that, like, we get the dream at the Nine of Cups, or we have the dream at the Nine of Cups, and it has the ability to be granted, but because of the Nine of Swords past that we have, we typically Nine of Wands fight it, even though we don't want to, and then we end up in this Nine of Pentacles state where we don't really allow for any of that expansion, right? And you got a Ten of Wands, Ten of Swords before you can Ten of Cups, Ten of Pentacles. So that's what we're going to be doing. First one out is the Nine of Wands with the Seven of Wands. Let's keep going. I want to do this fairly quickly because, you know. And then Change. There's a line, or in the song Change, there's someone with some heavy, heavy, heavy emotions because of abandonment. And it's like the person that is responsible for that abandonment no longer exists. So she takes it out on the child of that person. And the child is like, I've lived my whole life paying for things that I didn't even do because of this woman that I never knew, who is my mother. So, of course I love her and I wish I could know her, but I didn't even know her. And it turns out nobody really knew her. But she was like, you can't change how I feel. And he's like, I know, only you can do that. And I was like, oh, snap. This is a pretty good song. It ain't that long. I've been listening. Oh, that's a whole string of majors. That was a whole string of majors, but it ain't even about them right now. It's about the nines. Well, there's the Ten of Swords and the Magician. Oh, here's the Nine of Coins with the Queen of Cups. Cause you can make a change. There's that Five of Cups we keep seeing. Here's the Nine of Cups with the Three of Swords. Exactly. That heartbreak, will it end like last time? I've been watching a lot of Steven Universe, and they sing a lot. So if I start singing, it is what it is. It just happens. This is why I try not to watch musicals too often, or anything that's too musically, because then I'll just start singing everything. And I kind of sort of naturally have that tendency anyway, but it just makes it worse. Oh, wow. The Queen of Wands in reverse. There were only 2 cards in reverse. And the Queen of Wands came out in reverse with that one. And we're leaving with the 7 of Cups, which was at the bottom of the deck yesterday. Y'all can't even see it. 7 of Cups, which is about gaining the wisdom from past experiences, because without that wisdom, the wisdom is the key that unlocks it. Page of Pentacles, the Seeker of Coins, and we see that in this deck. There's a string with a tooth attached to a coin with a key attached to a ball of earth, and it's like the wisdom from your experience is the key to moving on beyond them. Without that, I mean, it's like you don't even know what it is. Like, you don't even see that you're on the wheel. You can make a difference if only for tonight. And you can make a change. Man, I cried watching that movie, Heike. Okay, so we're doing the same thing over here. Hey, look, there's the 9 of pennies. Ooh, I think this one was the 9 of coins. Nope, that's the 9 of wands. Here's the 9 of coins. 8 of coins is coming out with the 9 of coins. It takes hard work. Here's the 9 of wands coming out with the moon card. It's like you don't even know about all that. It's like that's the energy of you actively fighting against yourself because it is in the dark. Because you not refused, but because it's difficult to bring light to the situation. Because you might have to see something that you don't want to see. Potentially. We'll see. I love how the left side came out first again. There's that 5 of wands we keep seeing. Here's the 9 of cups coming out with the strength card. Yes. Sometimes you just gotta do it. You just gotta have the strength to do it anyway. And then there was another song in the Steven Universe movie, Found. And he's like, someday, somewhere, somehow you'll love again. You just have to find someone who treats you better and someone who wants you around. And in the moment, she thought it was him, but he was just trying to get back to his life. So it was like both this fear of, well, on her part, it was a fear of that abandonment again, as well as the issues, or not issues, but the feelings that were still kind of sort of unresolved at that point. And on his side, it's like, he was like, well, I never said I would be the one to love you. I just said someone. I said somebody out there. I didn't say me. Like, I'm trying to get back to my life. Man, that was so, ooh. The song Drift Away, ooh. And that's what I came on talking about yesterday, about how, I mean, she was narcissistic. She was a narcissist for a while, high key. Until she had a kid. And then she kind of still was, because all of her problems she left unresolved for him to deal with. 10 of Pentacles is coming out with the 9 of Swords. See, it looks good. Bottom of the deck is the 8 of Cups. And this is the first time I'm seeing the 8 of Cups in this deck. I think we have a sun and a moon, or we have 2 moons. We have a full moon, and we have a crescent moon. I don't know if it's waxing or waning, don't ask me. The full moon has a face, but the crescent moon doesn't. It looks like all of these cups are actually empty. and the octopus is on top of the water. This is an interesting card. Oh, look, there's the Seven of Cups. You put the 8 right on top of it. And that's another thing about the 7-8 dance. And then I had a thought to go through like a suit. Like I would put down with one deck the 2 through the 10, and then with another deck shuffle on top of it to see the journey through that suit. Because if the 369 is the key to escaping or whatever, right? The 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 trap, then the 3 of Swords is about heartbreak. The 6 of Swords is the desire to move on, but it's actually moving on. And then the 9 of Swords, it's almost the moment of detachment. And with the 10 of Swords, a lot of times it's death, but it's detachment. It's being removed from the situation. And sometimes there are some things that even though we don't like them, they have really, really, really strong holds on us. And what's the 7-8 dance for? So the 7-8 dance in the Suit of Swords is being stuck in this mindset of everyone is out to get me, everyone's out to take something from me, no one is legit, everyone's a thief or a liar. And then at the 9 of Swords, it's almost partly a recognition the 9 of Swords is symbolic of those moments that we have alone. When we ask ourselves, is this the way that we want to continue to live? Is this a belief that I want to continue to hold? Is this a thought that resonates with my frequency? And if the answer is yes, then we go back to that 7-8 dance. When the answer is no, we decide to, at the 10 of Swords, put in the work to detach from that old mode of thinking and to open up ourselves into a whole new mode of thinking, a whole new line of thinking, and attracting different people into our reality, right? And it isn't that it's necessarily untrue, but at the same time, the 8 of Swords implies a certain responsibility of the self that is not being met. Because usually, like, it's all in your head, it's all in your mind, but the mind is the projector that casts light on everything on the outside. So if it's all in your mind, it has a potential to also become your reality. But it's a reality shaped by the mind. And so then it becomes this thing of like, well, which changes first? Reality or the mind? Which changes first, the projector or the movie? And you can almost sort of find a way to do either. You can, if you change the projector, it's going to change the movie because the projector is what throws that image out there. But you could also change the movie if you have certain things like shadows, right? You can have a shadow interact with the projected image that would obscure certain things, or like if you do shadow puppets, it could introduce certain elements into a scene where it's not there on the projector. And a shadow isn't necessarily always bad. A shadow just disrupts whatever the program is. And so sometimes you can be stuck in a bad loop or watching a movie that you don't like, right? I'm not going to say horror because some people are into that. So some people watch horror movies and they love it. Some people watch rom-coms and they hate it. So whatever your movie of choice. But it's like when the trailers in the movie are completely different, and it's like in the trailer they took like the only good 2.5, 3 minutes of the movie and put it all together to make it look decent. But then you watch the actual movie and you're like, oh, this isn't that great. It's like these shadows can come in before the shadows can come in to interact with the movie and to change the story or to adapt the story without impacting the projector. And sometimes it's like a shadow can show you a different ending or a different way that a scene could have went. And then because you are like the writer, the director, the producer, the editor, and the dude in the cinema, like putting the film on the thing, the projector that get it rolling, right? You're all of those. And so you can look at the shadow in a scene and you can stop the movie, or I mean the movie never really stops, but you can decide to change the writing right then and there. Because nothing is final until it's aired. And even when it's aired, it can be re-aired. It can be edited and then aired again, right? I don't know. But that's that Nine of Swords. That Nine of Swords is when the shadow is on the screen. And you're like, what's this about? And then in the Ten of Swords, that's when you can like choose to go back, rewrite the script, reshoot the movie, redo whatever, but this time you address all of the plot holes and all of the inconsistencies and everything like that to like make it a little neater. And you make it neater and neater and neater and neater and neater until it's ready. Now, I don't know anything about post-production, but maybe that's how post-production works. And that's why you get the director's cut, and then you get the film release, and then you get the TV version, right? And then after that, you're free to escape that bad movie altogether, and then you come out of it with an actually decent movie that people actually like. And it reminds me again of when I watched Michaela Cole. I don't know her name. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm so sorry. But she was talking about how on the second season of her show, or a show that she was a part of, there was an episode that they filmed that wasn't that great, and she knew it wasn't that great, but somebody was like, it's fine. And then they ended up, after they shot it and it went to whoever, they were like, we're not airing this. And so they pulled that episode, and then it messed up the whole story because they tried to jumble it around. They didn't give her any extra time, or they didn't give them any extra time or any extra funds in the budget. And so they um, they tried to jumble everything around to make it seem cohesive, but it was not. And so she said she had like 3 days to go back, write an episode that could only have one main character and like two recurring characters, and it could only be shot in one location. And she was able to come up with something and then arrange again the episodes to where it fit in a way that like it made sense and it was actually enjoyable, right? And she was recognized for that, and they offered her like to be like a they offered her a contract for a lot of money, and she turned it down. But it is kind of sort of that, and then like we do that anyway with our pasts. We either focus on the good things or the bad things, depending on how we want to feel about a situation or how we were made to feel about a situation, right? Anyway, that is not about the nines. I don't know why I went all the way into that, but and it's already been like how long it's been? It's already been 20 minutes. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's fine. We'll just get into it. So, when it comes to the Nine of Wands, So we're going to go Wands, Pentacles, Cups, and then Swords. Wands is the vision. Pentacles is the ability to bring it in. Cups is the desire. Swords is the mental. And this is like, is it realistic or not? Both of these are kind of sort of a realistic, but this is more like tangibly realistic. This is more mentally realistic, right? Am I ready for this? Is the Swords. Do I have the materials for this? Can I build this? Is the Pentacles. In some ways. So we have the Nine of Wands with the Seven of Wands. And the limitation when it comes to the Nine of Wands is a defensiveness with that Seven of Wands. And it's hey, Miss Vernell, how are you doing today? And it's this perceived space of not superiority, but of a high ground, right? And that's us, what we feel is to be in a place of advantage in a situation, even if it actually isn't, right? For example, if it's thunderstorming outside, the high ground is what you don't want, because then it's easier for lightning to find you. Lightning is one of those things that takes the path of least resistance. So a lot of times it goes after whatever is the tallest in that area. If it were a flood, then the high ground would be amazing, right? Or let's say that, we're talking about medieval battles. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. And like, if the opposition has archers, then you probably don't want the high ground because it'd be easier to see you. But if it's all infantry, then you do want the high ground because they won't be able to reach you. And so there's something here about putting ourselves in a place of advantage, but it actually, it serves more harm than good. It doesn't actually benefit us. And then we have the Moon card coming out with the Nine of Wands over here. And I feel like it clarifies that. It further proves it. And it's like, if you would do the thing that you are intuitively guided to do, that seems really scary and counterintuitive, you would actually be in a position to win the war so that you don't have to keep fighting these battles. But it's like sometimes we get used to that conflict and that contention. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to the Swords next. Because the Swords it's being stuck in that, like, everything is always the same type of loop, right? You do this 7-8 dance, and then we never take the 9 exit. We take the 9 detour right back to the 7. But again, with the 8, it's like there's something that you're not seeing within you, probably, or there's something that you're not doing, some self-love or self-authority, or your voice that you're not using to get you out of those situations. It's like you keep playing into the same thing. And maybe there's a narrative that you have of like, oh, like, I'm not confrontational. I always do what people tell me to do. I never stick up for myself. And as long as you continue to do that, you'll keep hitting the 9 with that 7-8 and never be able to put it to bed at the 10. Right? 10 is the detachment. It's the ending of that mental cycle. So let's come down here to the 9 of Swords. So we got the 9 of Swords with the Sovereign of Wands in reverse, which is exactly what I was just talking about. Y'all probably won't be able to see these, but I'll hold them up anyway. That's exactly what I was just talking about with not using your voice, not standing up for yourself, not doing the things that you know will end the cycle. And the thing about the Moon is that it is unknown, and like, a lot of people don't have a good relationship with the unknown, I'll just say. But like, the 10 of Pentacles and the 9 of Swords, like, if you would begin to stand up for yourself, it's like it would be the beginning of you claiming your abundance and everything that is meant for you. And that's something that I've been discovering in my own personal life as I've been using my voice more and more. I'm still learning, okay? So sometimes it do come out a little bit cold, or extremely hot or abrasive, but I'm learning. But it's like now I can see things within myself that increase the value that I have to give to the world, anybody I work with, be it platonic, romantic, or business professional, and myself. And I know the ability that this has to elevate me into the position to receive all of this abundance because it's part of my skill set that I was never using or utilizing. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be your voice, but there's something that with that Queen of Wands in reverse that you're not showing because you're falling into the shadow of it. And I fell into the shadow of using my voice, right? I had anger issues growing up as a kid, and I was like, oh, well, if I ever get too mad, then, I'll get in trouble. But there's been a few occasions where I have used my voice, and I used it to a more right degree, and I didn't have to go to extremes. And I was listened to, I was heard, and it shifted things in the direction that was more right. And of course, right is subjective to me, but other people agreed. It's because, especially at the time, I'm not just saying stuff to say stuff. If I'm saying something, there's probably a reason why. Now, we flip a coin. But there's something that you have to get over that this Nine of Swords is not going to allow you to. But it's going to be the key to everything earthly that you have coming in. And the only person stealing it would be you. And it's like other people are participating, I guess, by putting you in these situations where you feel like you can't do or speak or be. But I mean, a lot of times people don't even have to try. Right? Sometimes people don't even do it intentionally. Some people do, especially when they know that you're that type of person. Like my mom said, she had this one friend, my godmother. And my mom was like, you're so lucky, like I'm a nice person because you are like a doormat. You just let people walk all over you and you let people take advantage of you and do this and do that to you. And there are some people who are like that. But it's like just because a person doesn't say no, or just because they don't like confrontation or conflict, doesn't mean that, we should take advantage of those people. It means that we should respect that and keep that in mind when we're like dealing with them. Like I have certain friends where I'll be like, hey, if you don't want to do this, like it's fine. Right? I don't necessarily always be like, I know you're the type of person that just says yes to everything. Sometimes I do. Especially like if I really feel like I might be pulling them outside of the comfort zone or something. I'd be like, hey, let me know if this is too much. Because I know that sometimes you do that thing where you do stuff that you don't like because you don't want to say no. And I want this to be a mutually beneficial experience. Even though I did say that the Taurus in my chart is like, I want to experience this with you. Come, let's go. But I do still listen to people because I want it to be enjoyable. Hello? If it's not an enjoyable experience, then it'll just lead to people having bad thoughts or feelings about you. But at a certain point, again, you do have to stand up and voice your concerns and your opinion. So it's a delicate balance, but it's a balance that it's up to us to learn to break. Because again, coming off of that Eight of Swords, there's something that we're not doing. And because there's something that we're not doing, there's something that we're not claiming at the same time. And the Nine of Swords in this deck, you see the monkey pepping out? Like, he know. That monkey knows, but it's still like, Eight of Swords is the blindfold. Nine of Swords, the monkey is peeking. Like, and that's why the Queen of Wands came out in reverse. It could also be given more into what everyone else wants for you instead of you doing what you want for you. And your path is so uniquely yours that no one else may be able to tell you how to get to your abundance. But it's like the divine already built it within you. You already know. Regardless of how much stuff has been piled on top of it and how much you kind of sort of separate yourself from it with the Seven of Wands and the Moon, there is a part of you connected to the truth of you. And when you operate in the truth of you, a lot of times it leads you down the path to your abundance and your prosperity and your fulfillment and your happiness. And since we're talking about happiness and fulfillment, we're going to go up to the Nine of Cups. And then we'll end it with the Nine of Pentacles, where we have to be physically open. Our world has to be open enough to receive it, or to at least permit it entry. So, oh, why did my throat just trying to close up? So, let's go to the next one, shall we? Let's go to the next, shall we? Shall we? The Nine of Cups came out with the Three of Swords. This is that heartbreak. This is that my heart can't take another sword. Sorry. Not really. The more I do it, the less sorry I feel. And in this Three of Swords, you can see the little birdie that's like impaled on all the swords. He got stitches and everything. So there are two of these swords that have thorns on the hilt, and they're stabbing down. So this is grounding something, and when you try to remove it, it's like it catches the thorn, so it gets stuck. But there's this one sword that does not pierce the bird at all, that lies behind it, that is actually supporting it, and it's an Ace of Swords supporting this bird, and it's lying on top of it. But because of the other two swords impaling it, it's like it keeps us stuck in this space of indecision rather than claiming that ace and breaking it, breaking this pattern of heartbreak and disappointment. The only thing about doing something uncomfortable that makes you grow as a person and mature. Exactly. There are some uncomfortable things that grow you, and then there are some uncomfortable things that you know you shouldn't be doing. There are different flavors of uncomfortable. Because there are things that I'm uncomfortable with that I'm like, yeah, no, that's not for me. Like, if you asking me to do some hard drugs, I'm gonna give you a hard no, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't even want to dabble in that, right? I don't even want to approach that realm. And that's like an uncomfortability that makes sense. Now, if you're asking me to like lead a board meeting or to go in front of people, a board of people, and do whatever, and I get uncomfortable, that's an opportunity that will grow me. So yes, but also, and I feel like that was like not the best example, but sometimes there are things that are uncomfortable because it doesn't align with you, and you need to have that relationship with the self and that discernment to know this is something that benefits me, right? And then if you don't have that within yourself, you need to have the relationship with whatever you believe in to come in and aid you in your discernment, right? Be like, is this the voice of my fear and my worry and my anxiety? Or is this the voice of my intuition? Is this a voice of something that like will grow me? Or is this the voice of something that I actually shouldn't do because it's a very bad idea? But yeah. Yeah, I know, Miss Vernell, but I just wanted to clarify that for, I don't know, maybe somebody out there. Because I think there are kind of sort of moments when, especially after the Nine of Swords, it can be this tendency to like go out and do everything that we never knew we would do, almost like kid who's left the house for the first time, and so they start doing all kinds of stuff that their parents told them not to do, and some of the stuff isn't good. And I feel like when we are experiencing a certain level of freedom for the first time, it does reduce our inhibitions, and like we do stuff that we know we shouldn't do. And since we're talking about the Nine of Cups, especially coming off of the Nine of Swords, I just wanted to like throw that out there. Because some people really do go crazy. They're like, oh, my mom, my dad would never let me do this. I'm going to go and do this. And it's like, okay, well, sometimes they don't let you do it for good reason. Sometimes. Maybe a lot of times some parents would argue. So with the Three of Swords, the limitation here, it's the past. It's a repeat It's something left unhealed, something left unresolved. But sometimes to really heal and resolve things, we do have to act in defiance of it. And we have to give ourselves the chance to experience, and that's why strength is coming out with the Nine of Cups up here. We have to give ourselves the chance to experience the joy and the happiness and the freedom that we were running away from. We have to give ourselves a chance to experience the good side of whatever we were Nine of Swordsing over, rather than just the bad side. And it's only 3 swords with these 9 cups up here, but a sword can puncture a cup. A sword can damage a cup, so it almost doesn't matter how many cups you have if the swords are your priority, right? If it was wands in water, then I was like, one wand could put out 1 cup. They can neutralize, but it's a sword. The sword can just like cut the cup, and if you cut the cup, it ain't gonna hold no water. But it's to have the strength to go out and do it anyway. And there's this defiance that's like, almost like fairy tale, like the like Wicked Witch or Evil Stepmother or Maleficent or whoever. It's like, you tried to take my happy ending. I'm gonna go after it anyway. Cinderella whole life, her stepmother and her stepsisters made her feel like she wasn't worth anything. And then she meets the prince and he falls in love with her. Now, it could have been in the story, it might have been in the story, that, she did run from the prince, right, every single night. And it's like everything, and that comes back down to this Nine of Swords feeling, because then that's when like things that other people say about us start to affect us when we try to escape certain situations. But it's like, on one hand, she's met with a future brighter than she ever imagined, that's like more stable and more prominent in everything than she would have imagined. That's almost like the complete opposite of what her stepmother and stepsisters tried to make her believe. They tried to make her think she was completely worthless, and then here she gets like a chance to marry and inherit a whole kingdom. And there was that moment, I'm sure, within her that's like, part of me loves this, but it's not who I am. Like, if this prince really knew who I was, then he wouldn't love me. And it's like, this prince is trying to get to know you, girl. Just like, have some strength and do it anyway. Have some strength and love anyway. When love hurts, love anyway, right? When using your voice is scary, use it anyway. When standing up for yourself is the last thing that you want to do it anyway. Because it opens you up to bringing more and more and more light to this moon, where you can see that it doesn't have to be that way. And you might actually discover that your whole life has been shadows on the projector. None of that has actually been you. And you may also discover that the film itself is unaffected. It's just some jerk in the theater who keeps putting shadows and, shadow puppets up on the screen and ruining literally every single movie. But for some reason, I don't know, management values their dollars more than the viewing experience of everyone else in the theater, so they keep letting them in there. Right. And now here we come to the Nine of Pentacles, which is about being vulnerable and open enough to allow whatever this is into your experience. And we got the Nine of Coins that came out with the Sovereign of Cups. Queen of Cups upright, but the Queen of Wands was in reverse. Queen of Cups upright tells me that this is you because of your connection with the divine, or universe, spirit, whatever you believe in. I would personally say, like, whatever system of love that you subscribe to, personally. But it ain't got to be that necessarily. In that connection, it'll let you know. It's like, yes, it's safe to love again. Yes, this is someone that you can trust. Yes, this is your big break. Yes, this company is actually going to value you. No, they're not trying to just get you on the team and then steal all of your ideas. Yes, you can pitch this to that person. Like, yes, the past happened, but know that that cycle is over. And I think we're getting that message, but with the Queen of Cups being our limitation, we're not trusting it because we can't see, because we don't have the whole picture, because we don't have the whole film, right? And since we don't have the whole movie, there's nothing to prove to us that this Three of Swords isn't going to happen again. And so since we can't prove that the Three of Swords isn't going to happen again, we default back to the shadow of that Queen of Wands energy, where we're not really owning our shadow and in our authenticity. We're like letting the shadow own us. And then we come back up here to the Seven of Wands when we're fighting against things that are actually meant for us, right? And with this Moon card, again, it's like you think you have the advantage. You think that you're doing the right thing, but what you're doing is you're reinforcing the old when you're being given something new. And again, part of you knows that with this Queen of Pentacles, but with the Queen of Cups, but it doesn't trust it, right? The Queen of Cups is the minor High Priestess. So it's like, you know, but like, do you really know? And that's when devil energy can come in and do all kinds of stuff and get you to pass up on whatever's meant for you. And then we have the Eight of Pentacles that comes out with the 9 over here. And the Eight of Pentacles is like, you have to build your intuition and your trust with the divine just like you build any other type of relationship. It's something that proves itself to you over and over and over and over and over. It's something that always aligns here, that never wavers. Something that always supports and grows you. Something that always loves and supports you. Something that always builds, even in those moments where you're weak, instead of tearing away at you. And so with these two, again, it's like it's really the strength that builds over time. And it's the strength that builds over time that turns the Queen of Wands upright. And then it allows all of this to begin to happen. And then, boom, it's like all of a sudden, almost out of nowhere, your whole life has changed. And even if your life hasn't changed, your outlook on life has changed to the point where things just aren't as dark as they used to be. You can see into spaces that you would never be able to see into before, because for the first time you're willing to look into those spaces and not turn your head away in fear. But with the Eight of Pentacles, it's something practiced. With strength, it's something like, right, strength is always strength. So it's not like you're strong in a situation one time and then you never have to be strong in that situation again. The Queen of Wands is always the Queen of Wands. She is always championing herself, advocating for herself, and putting herself out there. These cards are always these cards. And I only say that because like it may not be this like one-time fix. It may not be this one-time thing and then it's good forever, right? The Ten of Pentacles, like, to continue to accumulate prosperity and abundance, you have to continue to do something, right? You don't get it one time and then it stays stagnant forever. You have to continuously put back into it, but at the same time you're putting into it, you have to continuously give. And it creates this flow. So that's all of this. Let's actually get into the limitation and why we got in here today, but you know. And then look, there's the Chariot that just wanted to make itself known. The Chariot is operating with the knowledge of the light and the dark sides of you. And it's using each when appropriate, right? We can't be so completely selfless that we're not taking care of ourselves. But we can't be so completely selfish that we're not willing and able to be of a positive impact to the folks around us. And that's the key to moving forward. It's to be both. In moderation. In moderation. Because the Chariot doubled is temperance. Wow. I actually want to see when we go into Libra season, because it might be today, actually. You. What is this? Oh snap! It's been posted. Sorry. Let's see. Because I looked at the sun yesterday and it was like 28. It was like late degrees of 28. I was like, oh, then that means that we're gonna hit 30, or we're gonna hit 0 for Libra before the day is over, I think. So let's just get in here real quick and see. So right now, currently, the sun is 29 degrees and 11 minutes Virgo. The moon is 28 degrees 45 minutes Scorpio. So we're about to have a sun-moon sextile here pretty soon. So it might actually be tomorrow, but probably somewhere around like midnight. Let's see. Yeah, it is tomorrow. That's a clean 20 seconds. So in 19 hours and 57 minutes, the sun will officially transit into Libra. So, well, that's 9:23 a.m. But I'm already reading for the 29th degree of Virgo. So I was going to be like, well, if I come earlier on enough tomorrow, it'll still be Virgo season. But, you know, we're good with this. We're good. We're good. Libra season is today. I followed the transits instead of the calendar, personally, because I don't know, calendars, things change, and I think the transits can accommodate for that. Yeah, I should like go off of the energy. Well, it's been Libra season in my world for a minute, so it's been Libra season and Virgo season. I've been on the Virgo side of it because there are still things that I could be doing. And I have been doing a lot. I was like, man, I really ain't going to use Virgo season at all. Well, I have been, but I could have really been putting in some like habits. But, you know, it's just go time. It's just go time. We just going to go. I do it that way sometimes. Bottom of the deck is the Eight of Swords. And I'm looking at the blindfold here. And the blindfold is actually above everything that's happening. The blindfold is above the hands. Well, the hands are tied up, so I guess that don't matter. But there are some swords that are not tied up. There's actually quite a few swords that aren't, but... Oh, it's interesting, because the way that the threads are hanging from the hands in this deck, it's giving me marionette vibes, like a puppet. Let's see if we can... Oh, hold on, wait. There we go. You see the hands up there? It's kind of giving me marionette vibes. And it's like, who's puppeting us? One card today. Thank you, because I've already been on here for a hot minute. And honestly, like, if I'm being real honest, here in the past few days, it's like, I just gotta keep trusting my intuition and what I know to be. But I'm just like, see, but that's the thing about intuition. It's almost an ability to look into the dark. Or faith. It's able to look into the dark. And 9 times out of 10 is probably going to be something that you can't see. I mean, because if you could see it, you wouldn't really need your intuition. Sometimes you do need your intuition because when you see it, it may be a little Seven of Swordsy, a little masky, a little facade. But then you wouldn't actually be seeing it, you'd be seeing the mask. I don't know. I think I need to listen to my intuition on some other stuff too that I was excited about, but I'm like, yeah, something about that ain't feeling right to me, and I'm not gonna try to force this. That's one. Give me two more, please. Two more, please. Ooh, Two of Cups. Oh, well, I got two. The Two of Cups and the Nine of Cups. Okay. All right. I don't know what that's about, but I guess we'll see. Bottom of the deck is the Nine of Pentacles. Okay. Now, this is supposed to be good, question mark. Not necessarily. We'll see how I feel it. With the Eight of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles by themselves, I would say that this is one of those moments when we're so independent, we're so this, we're so that, we so bad, we don't need nobody, that we don't let anybody or anything in. And so we actually don't grow. Behind the Nine of Pentacles is the Four of Swords, and it revealed itself because this kind of slid a little bit. Four of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles. So, okay, that clarifies it. So it's not necessarily that we're invulnerable, but it is to have that solid foundation within the self. Because when you have that solid foundation in the self, you're less dependent on someone else to fulfill something within you. And so this is a Nine of Pentacles energy that is vulnerable, but it's also whole. It's complete as is, but it's looking for something complementary. Looking for something to expand, right? When we come together, we're better than we are separately. And if I'm not better with you, I'm better off without you. That's this energy here. And maybe there's this Eight of Swords, maybe in some way, because this almost completely shifts the narrative. Maybe in some ways it's like you've relied on people in the past, and so there's something that you think that you can't do for yourself. And that's the Eight of Swords trap here. When Nine of Pentacles, you have everything that you need within you to stand firmly in your worth. No one completes you. People only compliment you. People can make you better, just like, some would say that ketchup makes fries better, right? Ketchup is ketchup, fries are fries. They're two completely different things, but when they come together, they do something majestic. Like ice cream and French fries. You got hot and cold, salty and sweet. Ooh, I love it. Go to Dairy Queen, get a Blizzard and some French fries. Hey. And maybe, yeah. So that's what I'd say. Excuse me. So let's see what the limitation is. We have, oh, it's the Anchor. I thought it was the devil for a second. I was like, the devil himself is coming on the last day. It's the Anchor. The Anchor is this deck's Emperor. You can kind of sort of see it. We got the ram skull with the ram horns. I was going to say something about Aries. Maybe in the space of the Ten of Wands. No, the Queen of Wands in reverse. It's Aries. Queen of Wands is Aries energy. It's cardinal fire. But in reverse, it's like, it's not challenging anything. It's like it goes against its own nature in some ways. And maybe that Aries energy thinks that it's matured. Maybe it thinks it's smart. But to truly mature, it's to like be, it's to know when to be, not to never be. It's to know when to be, to what degree, and in what moments. It's mostly the degree, right? You adjust the eye on the stove. You don't have it full blast the whole time, and you don't have it full load the whole time. It reminds me of when I was trying to boil water on this thing that my dad has. And I didn't want to put it on high because, I ain't trying to burn nothing down. But on medium to low, it wouldn't even boil the water consistently. So I had to put it on high to boil the water. It also reminds me of the showers in this one building I lived in. It's like the water only gets hot when you put it on like full steam is the only time the water gets hot. And so you turn it all the way up to let it get hot, and then you reduce the heat to where you want it. And if you don't do that, it'll always be cold. And so there's something about also knowing how the thing works. You have to know how it works, you know how you work, and then you find this common ground where you show up to the right degree in that space to assert yourself and not be taken advantage of, but not be, on one hand, overly sheepish, and on the other hand, overly aggressive. So, the anchors are about weight, right? It's about grounding. So, this is you being weighted and grounded in the spaces that serve you, right? It's like when the ship is moving, you pull up the anchor. When the ship is stationary, you drop the anchor. Not everything is worth anchoring into your life, right? So, step one for getting out of this anchor energy is goodness. Goodness. The devil. Goodness. Oh, I thought it was this card. And devil was like, ha ha ha. I'm still on the table. But we're going to go with Capricorn energy for this. And Capricorn is the foundation. It's the first brick, or the first few bricks. It's like Capricorn is the foundation and the first few floors. Taurus is everything above that. Virgo is the interior space, how it's all designed and laid out. It's like how the rooms inside the building are separated, and it's also the landscape outside. So it's like Virgo is the fine details. And they were building a building on campus, and somehow they forgot to put bathrooms on the floors in the plan. And everybody was like, how do you forget to put bathrooms on the floors? Like, how does that happen? But somebody did it. Somebody did it. And it's also a space of commitment. Now, this is interesting because it almost feels like this devil energy is selfish. And so maybe the first step is to be more selfish. The first step is for you to pour into you. And maybe, depending on what your past looks like, there may be a period where you do take a lot and where you don't give as much, or you don't give everything because you're used to giving everything to everybody and never receiving anything, or not receiving anything substantial. And so, again, here with the anchor, ultimately, we're going to be learning balance. Ultimately, we're going to be learning balance. Capricorn is all about the money. I could be more about the money, but I don't know. My Neptune is in Capricorn, but my Jupiter is in Libra, and my Sun is in the 11th house. So, would I mind like a lot? I don't know. Because my Uranus is like right on top of my Neptune. They're both 20 degrees Capricorn, so Uranus is like, yeah, I want money, but like not like that gross, like extreme wealth type money. But I still want to be able to do stuff and have experiences, but not just like hoard it, you know? I want to have money and be able to do something with my money. There we go. And then that ties into Jupiter and Libra. So anyway, step one is to devote yourself to yourself. And this is interesting because, again, depending on what your past is, especially with this anchor, the anchor could be someone who holds everyone else down, but no one holds them down. No one gives to this person. No one... It's like you're the anchor for other people, but then they become anchors for you. So that when you become the ship and you want to move, you can't because of everything that you're anchoring down, or everything that's anchored you down. And maybe that's also why this card came out first, because it's about attachments to things that don't really serve. And it's like you don't, it creates these toxic cycles that are really hard to escape whenever we play anchor to somebody else. Yeah, exactly, Miss Vernell. Oh, this is tough. This is real tough. Since this is the last day, we're gonna pull some energy oracle cards because I want to use them and because I would love to. Just man, because honestly, this anchor with this devil, it feels like people that you care about, or people that you have some responsibility for, or you feel some responsibility towards, even if you aren't responsible for them. But because they've come to depend on you so heavily, it's like you keep yourself basically stuck and stagnant. You keep yourself in situations that don't serve you when there's the Two of Cups and the Nine of Cups waiting for you. But with you feeling like the anchor, it's that, like, one of those energies of like, if I leave, then this person would fall apart. And this is someone that I care about, so I don't want to do that to them. I want one of these cards for each, please. I think that was the Angel of Love. Thank you. Ooh, these are crossing. Okay. I don't know what that means. And one final card, please. One final card, please. And you want to be the lender, not the person that borrows. I don't mind borrowing or lending. I mean, I would prefer to be the lender, honestly, but I've gotten over. Ooh, bottom of the deck is deceit. I've gotten over all of the negative connotation that I had with borrowing or depending on people because it was one of the lessons that I had to learn. Because I tried so hard to make myself independent that it made me super steely, prickly, and inaccessible. And I had to learn to be accessible, so I was humbled real quick, like really, really, really humbled. And so now if I have to borrow, it just is what it is in that moment. I don't intend to like be a borrower all my life, but if I got to borrow here and there, then it's what I got to do, right? And I'm not gonna put any shame or anything on top of myself because I know that ultimately I'm still moving forward, right? I would say I would talk about that one author, but you know she wilding all the way out right now, like all the way out right now. So we're just gonna leave her. But there are plenty of people who like find success later in their lives, and so they have to borrow for a while. It's not to be stuck there, but sometimes it's the position that we're in, and sometimes knowing how to receive gracefully and freely is something that we have to learn before we establish enough to give. But this kind of feels like the opposite of that story when you like we all give and given. Let's see. Ooh, this is in reverse. All tied up in reverse is blocking this devil. So you free. You free, but you're not. It's this Eight of Swords. It's this Eight of Swords feeling. And honestly, it just feels like it's time to be a little selfish. You can't be everything for everybody, and you can't be anything for people who don't even try. Because if you're anything for someone who won't try, then you're going to be their everything. And we can't be anyone's everything. That's this anchor energy. This is you being someone's everything. But it's like they're not even mobile with you. They keep you stuck in these spaces that you don't even want to be in. And it's difficult because there is like love for this person. There's some kind of attachment to this person. If there wasn't, then the devil wouldn't be the first card that came out, right? Let's go to the energy oracle cards. I actually want to read All Tied Up in reverse. All tied up in reverse. All tied up is number 23, which is a 5. Y'all keep telling me this, but it ain't working. You can make a change. Why? Are y'all serious? It's not letting me click through the thumbnails at the bottom. Oh my gosh. Can you stop? Please? Hello? What is happening? What is happening? Okay, we'll just find a page number or something. There we go. Now it's letting me click. And I went right to 22 yin yang. Yin yang upright it's a yin cycle, which is all about receiving rather than giving. All tied up is lack of motion or sense of personal freedom. This card reversed is telling you that the ties that bind are about to break loose. A previously stuck situation is opening up and the restrictions are clearing out. This card reversed also indicates that you are ready to break free from the habits and patterns that have kept you tied up for so long. Eight of Swords, ready to break free. Devil, ready to break free. Get ready to free yourself. Oh, so we freeing ourselves. Okay. You have all of the power and clarity at this point. So untie the binds of the patterns that have stopped you from being authentic and empowered. That have stopped you from being that Queen of Wands upright. Now is the time to liberate yourself. The affirmation here is, I release stuck energy, old habits, and restrictions. My life is opening up. I am free to choose my reality. And I love that, because opening up is what the Nine of Pentacles is. It's because, it's how you get to the 10, okay? You got to open it. So, oh, I love this. I don't, because it feels heavy. This is something that you have to do for yourself. And I wish the Lovers came out, because that's about making choices, or like the Two of Wands, like choosing a direction or something like that. But we got the Two of Cups, and the Two of Cups tells me that your heart is already out of this. Your heart isn't even in this situation anymore. It's like your heart is selling on before your body catches up. And then it causes this conflict in the mind of where you want to be and where you are. And then it could lead to resentment for people because you perceive them as holding you back when sometimes you're allowing them to hold you back. And again, it does feel like, there's a lot of cups on the table. So it feels like at least something or someone that we used to care about, right? This could be a job. Like, let's say that, especially if someone's a little bit older, and like I talked about being really close to retirement when I did whatever reading that was. I don't remember. That was the spread with me. That was the headless horseman spread. That was about being really, really, really close to retirement and hating your job, but you're like, I'm so close to retiring, I might as well just finish it out. All the while you're hoping for release. But yeah, with the Two of Cups, it's like, it feels like, and then the Queen of Cups did come out to end that final 9, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Nine of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck right now. The Queen of Cups was the limitation. That was the knowing of more, but maybe not the believing in it, but maybe it was just emotional attachments that you have in the past that keep you from really giving to these new ones. And at the end of the day, with the Two of Cups, the solution is to align with the energy that serves you. Align with the energy that propels you forward. Align with the energy that is mobile when you're mobile and still when you're still. But also can be mobile when you're still and still when you're mobile. So you can anchor and you can ground each other, but you can also go through these moments of acceleration with each other. You can go through these moments of pause with each other, and you can motivate each other when necessary. All of that is communication based. All of it benefits from healthy communication, at the very least. At the very least. And let's see what came out crossing this one. Ooh, the healer of the ages upright. Oh, let it. Number 51. Here's a 5. Here's a 6. What if that's a 7? Oh my gosh. What if it's a 52-7? Who is 52? I think 50 is the angel of balance, maybe. 52 might be the magician in the mirror, maybe. Wait, this is 51. Yeah, it might be the magician in the mirror, maybe. Maybe it's a 34. I don't know who the 34 is. Don't ask me. 34 might be one of the archangels. I can't remember. I don't remember. So 51, healer of the ages. This is health and vitality. This powerful being brings the force of ancient wisdom and profound healing. The light of divine consciousness pours from his hands and heart, flowing to you with love and a powerful healing intention. This amazing entity is with you now, bringing resolution to physical, mental, and emotional ills, helping to unblock stuck energy and revitalize your life force. Well, here's the stuck energy that it's like you're freeing yourself, and the energy, it's like both of these came out sideways. So when you allow yourself to be fully untied, this goes upright fully, and it supports you, right? Because this is a supporting message. Healer of the ages upright, all tied up in reverse. This is breaking free. This is the assistance to free you. But if you decide to be all tied up, it's like you're sacrificing all of this assistance and help that you have right now to free you of the situation. But it's all sideways based on your choice and how you choose to proceed. You may have felt this strong presence recently, or you may just be opening to the wonderful sensations now. You can call upon this emissary of miraculous transformation whenever you need vitality, balance, or renewal. Know that at the deepest level, an important healing is taking place. The affirmation here is, the powerful healing of eternal love is with me now and always. Divine consciousness fills every cell. I am whole, healthy, vital, and at peace. And what I say about being whole and stuff, right? We looking for compliments, something complimentary, something that makes us better. And it's not that it makes us better in ourselves, it makes us better for what we do together, right? Because of that complementarity. And with the Two of Cups, I feel like at least and like this card said, at least the energy of it is already present. But it all stems from the inside, right? The first home that we return to is the house of self. And it's through the house of self that we can reach higher and higher levels and gain a greater and greater relationship with the divine. Because when we're connected to the self, it removes a lot of the restrictions on it. It opens up the relationship, right? Instead of, it's like, if there's a person in your life that you only go to when you need stuff, then there's a whole side of them that you never experience. But when you don't need anything from someone and you still go to them, then you get to learn about them, right? Like, there's this one dude who I've known for years, and he doesn't know that I can talk a lot because he never shuts up. And I mean that in the kindest way possible. But he doesn't know that I can be wordy and very verbose because every time we're together, he does the majority of the talking. So there's a whole side of me that this man doesn't even know, and we've known each other since like 2012. And we've been talking more consistently since like at least, I don't know, 2014, 2015. And he doesn't know that side of me. And it also, like, he is someone who I also enjoy listening to because there's a lot of wisdom there. He has to be a Gemini. Sorry. I do enjoy listening to him. So it is like this mutual thing. But even when I do talk, it's like he cuts me off. Or he doesn't cut me off, but he runs with it. He's very much one of those like brain moves 1,000 words a second type of energy though, and his mouth, I feel at least, does a pretty good job of keeping up. Now my brain, it just leaves my mouth in the dust, and so I forget stuff all the time because my brain is already on a completely different train of thought by the time my mouth has gotten to voicing the words. But anyway, back to this. And it's almost like it's time. And again, like what I was initially saying, if you've been doing all of the carrying, it's time to be carried. But it's time to also carry. It's like you've had this initial devil phase where it's like you rebel. The devil phase is the rebellion. You've rebelled. Now it's time to pull back and to readjust yourself. This is like pulling the levers to adjust, I don't know, the curtains or whatever. Or I could have done that, adjusting all of the knobs on the equalizer or whatever. Music. And the Two of Cups, it can be a single relationship, but it's almost like a way of life. It's that openness and that vulnerability and that deep connection. And it's gonna go to different depths with different people because it's gonna, maybe not different depths, it's gonna be different with different people because there are different types of love and different types of relationships, right? You got your platonics, you got your familials, you got your romantics, you got your others, your acquaintances slash like professional relationships. But it's being able to be more present in all of them. And if you can't be fully present in a situation, it's not for you. And to continue to keep yourself in a space that's not for you at this point is going to exacerbate that Eight of Swords energy. It's going to make it worse. And it might make you feel worse. So we end with the Nine of Cups, though, which is the wish granted because you show up fully, because you leave behind situations that you can't show up fully in. And the card that we got with this is the woman holding a coin. Oops, there she is. The woman holding a coin. That's Queen of Pentacles energy. I love it. So this is saying always look for the good in people and give corrective criticism in their weak spots so they can grow and enhance their good attributes so they can go to the new horizon. Is this card. If that's how you took it for you, I would say sure. For me, I would say no. Because yes and no. But I don't think this is about looking for things in people. I don't think this is about creating things in people. This is about finding the people who are already there. The time for fixing, the time for healing other people, like that's over. That's our limitation right here. Our limitation is being the anchor for everybody else. This is about finding people who can already be that for us, or who are at least a lot closer to being that for us. Right? And so it's like when the good is there, you don't have to look for it. You can see it. Right? There's a difference between like looking for the good, because then it's like you're sifting through all the bad, you're sifting through the shadow. And it's not that we can't do that for people. But when it comes to forming these deep connections with this anchor energy with people, it's like anything less than acceptable is devil energy. It's like that's going to take time. That's going to take healing. That's fine. We're all on our own path. We all heal at different weights. No one is perfect. We're all still healing through things. But if you're going to be like all tied up upright when it comes to the things that you need to heal, then you can go mess with somebody else. I'm not doing that no more. Two of Cups, I'm looking for people who are already complementary. I'm looking for people who are already on my level, who have already gone through their little healer of the ages moment, because they're all tied up in reverse. Right? But again, however it resonated for you, maybe take it for you. But for me personally, and how I'm feeling with this, it's this energy, because the anchor is already the limitation. With the Eight of Swords being like you, it's like that's continuously going after like fixing people. But yeah. But sometimes, it resonates differently for us depending on what we need in that situation. And what I need and what I would recommend based off of how I'm reading it is to just to like stop going after people that we have to fix. And like everyone has the potential to be good. Everyone has the potential to be amazing. I don't think anyone is necessarily born destined to fail and be miserable all of their lives. But it's about connecting with people who are already there. Because the Nine of Cups is right here. And so like it's like we can start here instead of going like the whole loop. But again, however you get it is probably how it's meant for you to get it. And with the woman holding a coin, with the Nine of Cups, again, this is like someone who's already stable within themselves. Because that's what the coin is, right? The coin is what we can sort of attribute stability to and worth and value to. This is someone who knows their own worth because you know your own worth. And when you know your worth and you Two of Cups, you attract other people who know their worth. When you've done this, Healer of Ages upright healing, because all tied up in reverse, we leaving that devil energy alone. And it's almost like it's all sort of where you are. And so maybe you do meet somebody and you're in a similar space, but depending on how you wobble and depending on how they wobble, you might come into this spot of dissonance where you have to separate yourself. Because like, we were on the same page for a minute, but I don't know. I'm not going to be anchored by situations and people that like don't even try. Right? Ain't nobody perfect, but hey, we at least got to try if we expect to go somewhere. So this is 42. It's another 6. I was one away. One away from my 5, 6, 7. But that's fine. 42. Woman holding a coin. This is female connection in money, health, or value. The elegantly dressed woman on this card sits on a beautiful chair, holding a bright gold coin. When the card comes upright in a woman's reading, it may refer to her directly and to a successful endeavor regarding her own finances or health. This card could also signal a woman of support or assistance regarding these issues. She may give you financial advice or connect you with someone who does. This woman may be someone you meet where you make your money, or it may be a woman of wealth and value. That's interesting because we did just see the Grand Dames at a tea table the day before yesterday. Even though that was technically the day before yesterday, but she popped up the day before yesterday. Either way, this card is telling you to be on the lookout for helpful assistance or even the possibility of new love or friendship connected to a woman of wealth or business. The affirmation here is, the world supports me in my financial goals. I am making synchronistic connections that serve and honor me. And that coming off of this Two of Cups, these are the synchronistic connections. And then the Nine of Cups it serves and honors you. It gets you closer to your dreams, closer to where you want to go, closer to your fulfillment. And because you are fulfilled within yourself, you attract other people who are fulfilled within themselves, that when you're healed and open, leads to 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune, the Sun, which is another 10. Because again, it's like you're looking for things that complement your wholeness instead of filling gaps that you perceive of within yourself. And when you're whole, you can accommodate for your own weaknesses. You can accommodate for your own gaps. And you don't have to be so egoic that you think that, like, you form this, like, this toxic sort of attachment to strength because you don't want to be perceived of as weak. But everyone has weaknesses. When you accept your weaknesses, you can compensate for them and not have to overcompensate for them. And with the Two of Cups, like, not only does it attract people into your life, it also attracts things. Everything is in motion. Everything has a frequency. Everything is vibration, right? People carry vibrations. Jobs carry vibrations. Opportunities carry vibrations. Certain levels of wealth and prosperity and abundance carry vibrations. And they can have a positive vibration or they can have a negative vibration. There's a lot of money that is attracted to certain negative things as well, right? But that also serves a different purpose than what positively attracted abundance can do. There's 3 cards here. We're going to look at them last. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, especially coming into a season of the Wheel of Fortune, it's about moving with what's moving. I don't know. I mean, we're all free to choose our own paths and to continue to proceed accordingly. But I just personally think that it would serve us better if we work with what's already working with us rather than trying to catch something up that isn't where we are. And it's like you can keep trying to be the anchor for other people, but again, it's like, I don't know. You can't anchor someone who won't anchor themselves, because then they're going to anchor you down. Okay, come on, cards. But always feel free to take it as it resonates. Okay. Let's get a final message from the affirmators, please. Like 1 to 3 cards would be fine. 1 to 3, 1 to 3. What is 1 to 3? It's each no cardo. Kudasai. Oh, I just saw the 3 of wands. Okay, that's a whole bunch, but Empress at the bottom of the deck. I'll take it. Oh, it's 3. No, it's 4. It's 4. I said 1 to 3. Then I got 4. It's fine. You can make it happen. From the night. 'Cause you can make a change. Oh, come on. I ain't trying to get no jumpers. We just shuffling this up, shuffling it out. Y'all know how we do this. Don't be trying to jump. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, it is the last day, so why not? The card that just came out is the 10 of Swords. And we just had the 8 of Swords. Now, the 10 of Swords in this deck, there's a third eye. There are 2 swords in reverse. There are 2 hands, each with 4 swords. And the hands are pierced. Someone's hands are tied. Oh. With the third eye looking up and these 2 swords in reverse, crossed at the top, it's an energy of not being able to override divine judgment. Right? And we're in an energy of judgment right now. I don't know if I'll be able to get this. Oh, wait. I think it was showing up. There we go. You see the 2 swords crossed up there? And then we got the rest of these swords piercing the hands. Excuse me. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Leave it alone. It's like the divine is going to have the final say. And we're in a period right now where if you're not lining up with it, it will probably crush you. Probably. Because it's like it's time out for all of the stuff that we know that we shouldn't be doing. It's time out for keeping ourselves stuck. And it's like, what's the point of continuously asking the divine for assistance or help or guidance if we don't do what they tell us to do? Right? I mean, I don't know if anything is necessarily coming too much easily these days. Maybe we've gotten a little comfortable and with like this feeling of like, oh, you just pray and then you ain't got to do anything. But faith without works is dead. Right? You pray, you get the answer. you do something with the answer. And it's like you can continue to act out of alignment if you want, but the more time passes, the harder it's gonna get. And it reminds me of the Ten of Swords, or the back of the Ten of Swords in the Vice Versa Tarot, where the person has been taken out of the suit, and then it becomes a space of egoic death. And I was just talking about the ego. There are things that we need to like let go of. And it's like it's trying to be stripped from us, but if we have an attachment to it, it's not going to go anywhere. And it's one of those weird things where we as people can have attachments to things that we don't even like, that don't even serve us. And we know that we don't like it, and we know that it doesn't serve us, but I don't know, maybe we want to be petty or something. I don't know, it could be anything. But the divine is trying to put all that to bed. You can make it happen. Okay, let's see what these are. Oh, they're all in reverse. They're all up right now. Is this in reverse? Oh no, the Empress. The Empress at the bottom of the deck. Oh, there she is. The Empress at the bottom of the deck. The King of Swords is the first card out, followed by the Seven of Swords and the Page of Swords, and then the Seven of Cups. After seeing these, I kind of sort of do want to read them in reverse. But we don't necessarily have to. The King of Swords is about really standing in one's truth. It isn't necessarily the Knight of Swords where we're going out and we're doing anything, but it's fixed air Aquarius energy, more Aquarius energy with the Seven of Swords, and we just saw the Seven of Swords. Okay, this is why they came out in reverse. Because the King of Swords with the Seven of Swords, this is an acceptance of what the world is. This is that it's a dog-eat-dog world. You know, you got to do this and you got to do that if you want to be successful, if you want to make it by. All right, if you want to get by, you got to do this, you got to do that. You got to. It's the truth of the world becoming one's own truth, but it's scarcity with the Seven of Swords. It's like everyone is trying to steal from everybody else instead of creating their own, right? Almost how like it's like everything in Hollywood is a remake. Like all of these video game remakes, like where's the creativity? Where's the ingenuity? Where's something new? Why is everything remade? It's like, well, because remakes sell and people keep buying remakes. People keep, going to see them. So as long as it's successful, why would we do anything different? But here we have the Page of Swords with the Seven of Cups, which to me, oh look, sevens. To me, it's about choosing a different option this time. And we just saw the Seven of Cups, yesterday? And I was talking about how that one cup is like the only one not on the narwhal's horn. Page of Cups, or Page of Swords, Seven of Cups is about choosing a different option. It's about choosing to believe that the world doesn't have to be what we were raised to believe that it is, because we can come into this Empress energy and create the world that we wish to live in. We can transform things. We can be an agent of rebirth. And she's giving me heavy kitsune vibes, shapeshifters, typically tricksters, But like if you're a trickster in a not great space, then that's like divine jester type of energy, right? That's putting the shadow on the screen to a not great movie to make it a little bit better. Sometimes you're just making fun of the movie and then everyone laughs at how terrible it is. But again, so yeah, all of these were meant to come out in reverse. Because you have to have the strength to do it. And the Page of Swords in reverse, it's giving me hangman energy. But the hangman of like adopting a different perspective. And since you take a different perspective, you can see it in a way that other people may not necessarily be seeing it. Now, because with the Seven of Cups in reverse, instead of the water flowing into this cup, it's flowing out of the cup. And it's like, since the narwhal can't reach all of those cups on its horns, it's allowing gravity to pull the cups off for it. It's about using what's naturally there in a different way to make something completely new. Everything new, a lot of things new come from things that we already have. Or some new things come from things that we already have. We just assemble them in a way that gives us a different result. It reminds me of like all of the masalas and how more or less they can be the same ingredients, but they're just in different proportion. And when they're in different proportion, it rebalances the flavor profile. It brings something else to the forefront, and other things support that instead of that being repressed and always supporting something else. And that goes back to that anchor energy, right? Always being someone else's anchor, but never having anyone to anchor you. And then with everything in life, there comes a growing curve, right? Sometimes we have to get used to being anchored, like, whoa. And like I was saying about the how I don't mind being a borrower sometimes now, because I mean, it's life. Sometimes you lend, sometimes you borrow. And when you fight either cycle, it keeps you stuck. And I had to get humbled real quick, like really humbled, because my whole thing since like seventh grade was about me putting myself in a position to not need anybody. It was like, I don't care if I'm homeless on the street starving, I still won't need you. I still won't beg of anything from you. I'd rather die. And it's like, okay, isn't that extreme? No. Younger Patrick would say no. Current Patrick is like, yes, that's very extreme. I'd rather take the help when I need it and keep it moving to the point that I don't need it anymore. And then I can give back, right? Old Patrick was like a whole mess, y'all. Like a whole, I don't want to say broken mess, but it was rough for a very long time. And I didn't allow myself to see or experience anything different. Like, I cut out my own mother for several months. And I'm such a mama's boy. Like, I didn't think I would ever do that, but I did. And I made sure that she knew that I didn't need her for anything. And I found ways to make everything work on my own. Was it ideal? Was it a good time? No. But did it teach me that I can be self-sufficient? Yeah, sure. But I already knew I could be that. Bottom of the deck over here is the Garden and the Gate. Garden and the Gate is all about going outside of your comfort zone to grow more. The Garden and the Gate can be a very bonsai energy. And I remember when I discovered that like bonsai trees aren't necessarily any different, or bonsai bushes aren't any different than other bushes. You just put them in a smaller pot and you prune them heavily so that they never get any bigger. It's almost like how goldfishes, when taken care of, they can grow basically to the size of their tank. But the bigger the goldfish, the more nitrogen that they put out. And so, like, you got to clean the tank more often, because if you don't take care of the nitrogen, then it'll kill the goldfish. And so it's about opening up the gates, bringing some fresh air into that. Because when you introduce more air into a situation, when you introduce more air into a situation, it reduces the concentration of oxygen. So sometimes it's not necessarily about how much of something you have. It's about how much of that you have relative to everything else. And that's what a concentration is. It's like, 5 whatever per whatever, right? And the more, like, let's say you have 5 for every 1, then you're heavy in this. But if you have 5 for every 5, then it's a 1-to-1 ratio. If you have 5 for every million, that's like basically anything. And it's the same 5 that you started with. You've just accumulated more outside of that. It reduces the impact on you. But when you shut yourself in and you don't allow different experiences to come into your life, there's no wonder why you think it's always this. Because that's all you give yourself the opportunity to experience. And that also came out yesterday, I believe. The cards that came out are the Thinking Man, number 46, number 48, the Angel of Balance, and number 23, all tied up. Again. The Thinking Man, Angel of Balance, and all tied up. This is interesting because the Angel of Balance is sitting in between the Thinking Man and all tied up. The Thinking Man, I'm getting, it is a 46, which is a 10. All tied up is a 23, which is a 5. So all tied up is half of the truth of what it could be. And like I just said, when we've experienced so much of a certain thing, that's all we think that it is, but that's only half of the story. We've just been living on the same half, always in the garden. How do you know anything of the world outside of the garden? Plato's allegory of the cave. In the allegory of the cave, it's like everything they know about the outside world is shadows projected onto the wall of the cave. And then when they leave the cave for the first time, they experience the true beauty of everything. And they can experience the feeling of how the shadow that something projects isn't necessarily truly reflective of the form that it takes. And also, the light that something projects isn't always necessarily truly representative of the form that it takes. But there are so many people who are content to spend their whole lives in the cave, only knowing of the outside world what is projected inside, only seeing the shadow of everything. At least get a mirror. At least you put a little mirror in the cave and you can actually, I don't know, see it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. But yeah, it's that energy. And then the Angel of Balance is like almost playing referee between this all tied up thinking and the Thinking Man thinking. All tied up is that King of Swords, 7 of Swords. The Thinking Man is the Page of Swords, 7 of Cups. The Angel of Balance is the one that's trying to encourage you to make those self-honoring choices, to make and align with what actually benefits you, Page of Swords, 7 of Cups, instead of continuing that line of thinking that honestly serves very, very little, if anybody, with all tied up. And again, gardening the gate is at the bottom. You can choke a plant, you can suffocate plants, and then they'll die. Or they'll just stay small. They'll just stay small instead of growing into the mighty trees that they can be. So that's what I got. Actually, I am gonna pull a few of the Universe Has Your Back cards. I feel like this got a little bit heavy, but honestly, it's like this is the last day of Virgo season. This is the last day of that purification season. It's the last day in cleanup mode. It's the last day in fixing mode when we're adjusting how we operate in our day-to-day. Next is Libra, justice. Next is us getting whatever it is that we're putting out. And we've had plenty of opportunity to clean up what we put out into the world. No one has to take anything. So if you ain't getting any better, were you given any better? Like, if nothing really changes, have you? Are you willing to do now the things that you weren't before? Are you willing now to actually listen to your intuition and to let your fears and your worries and your anxieties and your beliefs and the past and the people who hurt you and everything else go? Or do you need to be so... It's like, for a lot of people, understandably so, their pain and their trauma and their past becomes identifiers for who they are, even when they don't believe that's so. But it's like, if your past really didn't define you, you wouldn't have such heavy stipulations over what everything is. You wouldn't be seeing the world as a result of what you've already experienced if you were free from your past, because you'd be open to the truth of the experience. And the truth is, a lot of times we only get half of a story. And if you've only got the bad half, and if that's the side that you choose to stick with, then it's like, if you think that life is all bad, I don't I mean, like, I don't know what to say, right? I don't know, because you continue to make it so, because you continue to believe so, and because you continue to convince yourself that anything good is actually something bad in disguise. Justice is fair. Law of attraction, law of manifestation is fair. We all have the same access to it. We all have the same access to the divine, even if we're not raised in a religious household, even if we're not raised with spiritual people. We all have the same access. We're all born with an internal sense of right and wrong. We all have an intuition. It speaks to all of us. Now, it is a lot easier when we don't have access to that, or when we are sort of raised in situations and circumstances that are more troubling or harsh and traumatic. All of that is valid, but at the end of the day, it's not like you have the choice to do whatever. It's like, what do you want? Like, I just had to reach the place when I was like, you know what? All of my worries, everything I'm depressed about is valid. But I don't care how valid it is, because I don't want this life anymore. I don't want this mindset. I don't want a future that I don't want. I don't want a future that I'm afraid of. I don't want a future where every day is like closer and closer and closer to this darkness that I view as inescapable. To the point where when I reach the expiration date that I set for myself, if it doesn't happen naturally, I'll just do it myself. It's like, I don't want that. And I didn't want it strongly enough to begin to change things and to begin to face everything that I was running away from. And everything that was valid then is still valid now, but I don't know the future. I don't know if my problems will always be problems. I don't even know if my problems are actually problems now, or if I just view them as problems because I've never done anything to make them less of a problem. But it's a point that we all reach within ourselves. No one else can reach that point for us. No one else can force us to choose salvation, if salvation is a word that you want to use. And I do want to use it. But you don't have to accept it, is what I meant to say. That's something that you do within yourself. And the divine doesn't force it on anybody. All the divine can do is strongly encourage it. But you can run away from anything and everything. As long as you run, you'll continue to run. You'll continue to be all tied up, and you'll continue to be bound. And the world will continue to give you what you think it always gives you, because you will refuse to see otherwise. And I'm not going to feel upset or sad or tear myself up on the inside because I can't help people do things that they need to do for themselves. It's not my job. It's not my responsibility. All I can do is try to be encouraging and loving and supportive and try to get you to align with whatever. But at the end of the day, it's always your choice. And for me to get upset or sad is to disrespect the sovereignty that you have over your own life. Right? If I'm not going to be upset when you make good choices, I can't be upset when you make bad choices either. As long as you're doing whatever you want to do in the moment, then hey, that's it. I mean, I do hope that we don't continue to make decisions based off of what happened in the past, but again, I have to honor everyone's choice. You can't do anything for anybody, really. We can only encourage them to do for themselves. So, hey, it is what it is, basically. First card out is the key to prayer is to forget what I think I need. Okay. Work. The key to prayer is to forget what I think I need. Second card is, I think I've been seeing this one a lot lately. Ooh, maybe not. I create mindful moments throughout the day, reminding myself that I am love and miracles are natural. I think the first time I saw this, the only part I actually saw was I am love and miracles are natural. But again, this speaks back to the Eight of Pentacles energy that came out with the Nine of Pentacles. I create mindful moments throughout the day, reminding myself that I am love and miracles are natural. This is the second time we've mentioned miracles. And for those who believe in miracles and act in alignment, miraculous things happen. Next is when I lean toward love, I am led. Ooh. If you don't know how to navigate the darkness in you, lean towards love and you'll be navigated out of it. Love is the light. Darkness is the absence of love. There's a whole lot of love missing in the world right now. That's why 2020 is as dark as it is. Whole lot of love. Even when people are suffering, we still default to like, oh, well, I want to be doing this and I want to be doing that. And like, I don't care what the risks are because everything is a risk. You can look at it any way you choose. When I lean on the faith of the universe, peace becomes real. And maybe that's what I need. That one's for me and for all of us. Because I do have faith that we're going to come out of this on the other side. I do still get frustrated when I see people who just don't care to listen, don't care to see the truth that's before them. And it's like, honestly, those are people that I don't even want to know. I don't want to know people who are self-absorbed. I don't want to know people who don't care about anyone else. I don't want to know people who can't care enough to listen. I don't want to know people who are just so in their own world that as long as they're benefiting or as long as they're on the positive end, then they will actively keep those systems in place. And I get to decide who I want in my frequency. And I get to decide what I want my reality and my world to look like. And I don't want my world to look like people who don't care about people. Quite honestly. And it's not judging the people. It's judging the mindset. It's judging the program. I don't want to live in a world where that program, that's that King of Swords, Seven of Swords, it's a dog eat dog world. Either like you take advantage of people or you're someone who's being taken advantage of. Like, y'all can have all of that. Y'all can have it. Honestly, it's not for me. It's not for me. I don't subscribe to it. I'm choosing to not align with it. Does it make me, I don't know, closed-minded, or am I trying to live in an echo chamber? Not necessarily, but also not trying to feed the BS, right? And like I was thinking yesterday about that optimistic versus pessimistic or realistic outlook on life, and it's like you don't have to go looking for bad things in life for bad things to happen. You don't have to go looking for challenges to happen. No one is perfect, and we're always continuously growing. There will always be challenge without you looking for it. So I'm going to choose to focus on the brighter. And when challenges come up, I will handle them because they will come up. But just in knowing that they come up doesn't mean I got to go looking for them. Like I did my period of chasing towers. And if I come across a tower now, it needs to fall. I'm chasing the sun now. Right? I was so deep in my dark night, I had to chase towers to get to where I am now. But now that I am where I am now, I can start chasing the sun. And I can deal with towers when they come up. I'm not chasing the sun and like you know, ignoring towers and running away from towers. It's like, no, we can do both. We're doing both. But anyway, that's what I got for y'all. This will wrap up Virgo season for me. Libra season starts tomorrow. That's when, we're starting to balance the scales. The scales have been so heavily skewed. But now we're coming into a season of balancing it before Scorpio season, which is all about transformation. So, yeah. Oof. But I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever y'all see this. I hope y'all are acting in alignment to make the good better and the better great. Ultimately, I just hope that you are making choices and decisions and working towards things in your life that you actually want for you. But at the end of the day, your choice and your decision is your choice and your decision. I will honor it. The divine will honor it. The laws that govern things will honor it. Call it karma. Call it what you reap, what you sow. Call it whatever you will. It's like the scales of justice have been fixed for so long that we really think we can get away with a lot of stuff. And I guess we're starting to see how much we actually haven't gotten away with, because at some point you're going to have to pay it back. Just like a credit card. Just like a credit card. You might not have to pay for all of it at once, but if you max that thing out, you got to pay it back at some point. Oh my gosh. All right, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks, Miss Vernell, for coming in. It's too heavy out here. The scale can't balance right now. Oh, the scale will balance. It might not balance in ways that we see it balancing, but it'll balance in time. It'll balance in time. We're seeing a lot of things really explode and come to the light now that have been there have been these micro fissures and micro explosions, this like pre-eruption activity, the rumble before the eruption. But if we don't take care of it, it will explode. It will. That's why, we're doing our best to do what we can now before it reaches that point, hopefully. But maybe not. Because that day of reckoning comes for all of us. All of us. And we got a lot of stuff that we're paying for. So just try to reduce your own debt karmically and just continue making choices that align with the path that you want to be on. And like all of that is assisted. Healing is assisted right now. It's not necessarily any easier, but it is assisted right now. It's supported right now. It's prioritized energetically right now. And if you're doing anything that doesn't align to that healing and that growth, you may find more resistance, or you may find that you're not getting as much collaboration. You may find that you're not getting as much communication, because it's like, the divine, at least from my own personal opinion and perspective and energetic viewpoint, is supporting growth right now. And if you're not aligning to growth, then hey, that might be some of the silence that you're getting. Potentially, maybe. I don't know. I can always be wrong. I reserve the fact that I can always be wrong, because I don't know everything. I don't know most of the stuff. All I know is what aligns to me and how I'm feeling it. But hey, every dog has its day, and Judgment Day is coming. It's Judgment Year. 2020 is Judgment Year. Oh, goodness. All right, I'll catch y'all later.